Get two readings, kind of. I'm going to give you a brief summary of yesterday's, because yesterday I read a piece from here, the Joyce Abundance Journal, which was relevant to Independence Day today. I'm going to give you a quick summary of Ernest Holmes' message of yesterday. He called it, Reverend John Waterhouse called it the logical and necessary outcome. And quick summary would say that Ernest Holmes teaches that everything in the universe is an expression of the divine presence. And just as we experience life through our bodies, the divine experience knows itself through creation and its relationships with each of us. And when we truly know and connect with one another, God is, in a sense, knowing itself through us. So if all is God, all is one, then what they're saying there is perfectly true, or what he is saying. And today, the reading is called We're All Incarnations of the One. Here we go. First quote is from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is kind of ironic because Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings referred to Ralph Waldo Emerson today in his Sunday talk. And what did Emerson say? He said, "The currents of the universal being circulate through me. I am part and particle of God." So we're kind of carrying on from what we said yesterday. And Ernest Holmes, in What We Believe, said, "We believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in everyone, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit." And if you want to go beyond that, you could say that everything in existence is, or that lives, is an incarnation of the one essence, which I call God, some people call Spirit, some people call the All, and choose your own name. The source of all being is probably the best expression. And let me see. Here we are. I still have not solved my Zoom problem with my mouse. I don't know why it just goes and zooms not again, but it does. So here is Reverend John Waterhouse's take on that. He says, here Ernest Holmes boldly declares that our divine nature, our oneness as God, well, that is the essence of our being, that we are spirit and nothing else. I think I'll come back to that. From this, our highest level of self-awareness, we identify as pure spirit. It is also the highest awareness we can have of any other person. None of us truly perceive ourselves with absolute understanding of our divine potential, but we must continuously seek to move in that direction. What we can realize from this principle is that by right of our very existence, we have the same creative power with which the universe is created, only differing in relative scale. Our ability to direct our thoughts, words, and actions, seeing them turn into form, is evidence of our divine nature. Being incarnations of the one Spirit, well, it's a declaration of unity. Even with all of our differences in appearance, personality, beliefs, and so much more, we still exist as the one life. That life expresses through every person, so that at our deepest level, we share one sacred identity, even amidst perceived separateness. So, what is my take on this? Well, my take is that everything comes from one source. Do I know this for sure? No. Does anybody really know anything for sure? No. Our discoveries about the universe are continuously changing as we discover more. For instance, we now know that there's more dark matter than light matter, and we really don't know what dark matter is. We know there's antimatter. How does that come into things? We don't know. How do we know it exists? Well, they've actually produced it at CERN in Switzerland, and the Hadron device. So, but to me, what all this says is that I believe that there is something behind all of existence which produced everything, something behind the Big Bang. And if that's all there was, then that something, I believe, produced that from within itself. And if that's the case, then every single thing, that exists is an expression of that. And if it's an expression of that, to some extent, it must have some of the qualities of that which brought it into existence. And I think human beings have got form and spirit. I don't think we are only spirit. I mean, we're bodies. Ernest Holmes believed in the material universe. He didn't believe that this was Maya. In other words, that it was something that we dreamed up and it only appeared to be. Ernest Holmes believed the universe was a real thing, and he called the universe the body of God. So in that sense, everything that you see, touch, feel is real. When John Waterhouse and others are saying that everything is spirit, it's my understanding that what they're telling us is that everything emanates from this one essence, which we choose to call spirit. So in that sense, everything is spirit, but it absolutely doesn't deny that the universe is a real thing. Yeah, there are lots of philosophers, and maybe even some people within science of mind and new thought who would say, well, this is all Maya, it's not real. But if you want to go back down to Ernest Holmes' teachings and others like him throughout the ages, they would say, yes, this is all real, but it all comes from one source. And at our very essence, we are spirit. We are, what is the expression? We're not material beings who have a spirit. We are spirits that have a material essence to ourselves. So in other words, at our very essence, we're spirit, and that's why we do our spiritual work. That is what we're connecting with when we do our meditations and so on. And that's what the mystics throughout the ages have done. And if you've ever had a mystical experience, you can more believe this, right? If you've not had one, it may be harder to believe. But if you have, then certainly it's easier to believe. So anyway, that's my offering for today, which is Sunday, the 5th of July, 2026. And as we march on into July, we'll march more into some of Ernest Holmes' teachings, and I'll try and, where necessary, if necessary, make it a bit simpler. If it isn't necessary, I won't. I'll just read what's there. And at times, if it's appropriate, I'll try to give you examples, and I'll try to give you little stories that match. I'm not sure how they would fit into this, but we will do our best to do that. I will do my best to do that. Without wanting to get on to anything any more complex, this is kind of what's implied by Namaste, the affirmation. Namaste literally is talking about, I'm bowing to you, and you're bowing to me. But at a deeper level, it's saying that the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. And this is something similar to what many mystics throughout the ages said. As I look into the eyes of another, whoever they may be, I see God. And that's similar to statements made by Muhammad and others, certainly. As I look into the eyes of another, whoever they may be, I see God. Or as Jesus would say, I am in the Father, and He is in me, and I am in you, and you are in me. In other words, at our essence, we're all one. Still individuals, but all one essence. And as finite beings from this perspective, it's kind of hard to see that. So I wish you a good week coming up. I will be back tomorrow around about 5 p.m., mediation permitting. If not, I'll be on later. And until next time, I just want to wish everyone a continuing happy birthday to America. And to anyone whose birthday is around now, either just passed or just about to come, like my daughter-in-law's is about to come next week, happy birthday to everyone. And until next time, my knowing this for all of you is a wonderful rest of the day and a great week. Namaste.